Is reincarnation real? A compelling look at the evidence. Reincarnation, the idea that the soul or consciousness is reborn into a new body after death, has been a cornerstone belief in many cultures and religions for millennia. Skeptics often dismiss it as mythology or wishful thinking, yet a growing body of research, particularly from the fields of psychology and parapsychology, offers compelling evidence that reincarnation may not only be a spiritual hope, but a genuine phenomenon worthy of serious consideration. One of the most persuasive sources of evidence comes from a meticulous work of Dr. Ian Stevenson, a psychiatrist at the University of Virginia. Over a period of 40 years, Stevenson investigated over 2,500 cases of children who claimed to remember past lives. His rigorous methodology, traveling to remote areas, interviewing witnesses, verifying details, lent scientific weight to what might otherwise seem like mere anecdote. In many cases, children as young as 2 or 3 spontaneously recalled names, locations, and even the circumstances of their deaths in lives they should have had no access to. These details were often confirmed with startling accuracy, including facts about deceased individuals unknown to the child's family or community. One famous case involved a boy in India named Shani Devi, who, at the age of 4, began speaking of a past life in another town, describing her previous home, family, and even the name of a husband. Investigators, including respected officials, verified many of her statements and confirmed that such a person had lived and died under the exact conditions she described. Another layer of evidence comes from birthmarks and birth defects that correspond to injuries or wounds reported in the previous life the child remembers. Dr. Stevenson published several peer-reviewed papers documenting this correlation, including photos and medical records. In one case, a boy in Turkey was born with a deformed right ear and claimed to have been shot in that same ear in a past life. Autopsy records from the alleged previous personality confirmed a gunshot wound in the right ear. Critics may argue that these memories are the result of cultural conditioning or parental influence, but Stevenson deliberately selected cases where no plausible normal explanation, such as contact with the deceased family, could be found. Moreover, these recollections often fade by age 7 or 8, consistent with developmental theories about memory and identity formation, and not easily explained by deliberate deception or coaching. Modern researchers, such as Dr. Jim Tucker, have continued Stevenson's work, employing contemporary psychological methods and a more skeptical lens, yet reaching similarly provocative conclusions. Tucker has documented American cases with no cultural expectation of reincarnation, further undermining the idea that these memories are purely socially constructed. While no single case may serve as definitive proof, the accumulation of consistent patterns across geography, culture, and time is statistically and psychologically significant. When taken together, the specificity of the memories, their verification, the physical marks matching wounds, and the children's lack of exposure to the information, these factors form a mosaic of evidence that is difficult to dismiss outright. Reincarnation may not yet be provable by the standards of conventional science, but the data demands open-minded inquiry rather than easy rejection. In the words of philosopher William James, a difference which makes no difference is no difference at all. If reincarnation influences behavior, memory, and even physical form across lifetimes, perhaps it's time we take seriously the idea that life may continue, not only in spirit, but in form. Is there proof of reincarnation? Reputable medical and academic professionals, including a team of researchers at the University of Virginia School of Medicine's Division of Perceptual Studies, have been studying the science of reincarnation for nearly a half-century. They are seeking scientific answers to the question, is reincarnation real? After investigating thousands of stories of people who claim to remember a past life, their meticulous research has uncovered these 12 staggering facts. 1. 33% of Americans believe in reincarnation. The Pew Research Center conducted a study on New Age beliefs and found that 1/3 of Americans believe they would be reborn in another body after death. Interestingly, they found that women were 1.4x more likely to hold this belief than men. 2. 65% more people believe in reincarnation now compared to 20 years ago. According to Gallup, reincarnation appears to be making a comeback, pun intended. 3. 36% of Catholics believe in reincarnation. Reincarnation is central to the beliefs of many Eastern religions, such as Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Sikhism. But the concept is also more popular among Christians than many may realize. According to the study conducted by the Pew Research Center, 1 in 4 Protestants and 1 in 3 Catholics believe their soul will return in another body after death, even though such an idea is not part of their religion's official doctrine. 4. 70% of people who remember a past life remember dying a violent or unnatural death. Dr. Jim Tucker, a psychiatrist and past life researcher at the University of Virginia, discovered that the vast majority of cases he investigated involved people who remembered past lives as men, not women. He wondered if gender had something to do with why some people remembered living before. Upon further analysis of over 2,000 cases, he determined the cause was likely due to another factor. 30% of the cases he studied involved a past life of someone who had died a natural death. These cases were evenly split between males and females, reflecting the general population. However, of the remaining 70% of cases, where the past life ended in an accidental or unnatural death, a whopping 73% involved males. These percentages mirror death statistics almost perfectly. Far more men than women die unnaturally. Men tend to have more dangerous jobs, fight in wars, and get into more bar fights. Therefore, Dr. Tucker reasoned that someone may be more likely to remember a past life if it ended in a violent or unnatural death. 5. 9% of people who remember a past life exhibit an unusual skill related to that former life. You've heard the expression, "she's a natural," when someone effortlessly picks up something new, like a sport or language. Sometimes genetics or environmental factors can explain it, but in many cases, scientists don't know why some people demonstrate extraordinary talents. Researchers at the University of Virginia Division of Perceptual Studies found that nearly 1 in 10 people who remember a past life exhibit a skill related to that former life. Is it possible that we retain some knowledge and experience from lives we've lived before? 6. 35% of people who remember dying accidentally in a past life have an extreme fear of dying the same way again. Many of the cases investigated by the University of Virginia Division of Perceptual Studies included people who believed they were murdered or accidentally killed in a past life. The subjects in over 1/3 of these cases exhibited an intense fear of that particular cause of death. For some, their elevated level of anxiety resembled that of a patient suffering from PTSD after a traumatizing event. They exhibited avoidant behavior, like refusing to fly on airplanes, or had an exaggerated startle response to loud noises. 7. 26% of people who remember a past life demonstrate some other form of ESP. Psychiatrist Dr. Jim Tucker has written about the unexplained psychic abilities of people he's investigated who recall living before. Perhaps further research will reveal a link between past life memory and clairvoyance. 8. 20% of people who remember a past life believe they lived as a deceased family member. Psychologists who study people who claim to remember past lives have documented many instances of supposed reincarnation within the same family. Psychiatrist Dr. Brian Weiss hypothesized that we may have a soul family, a cluster of spirits that we are drawn to, life after life. 9. 58% of people who remember drowning in a past life have an extreme fear of water. As previously mentioned, scientists have documented many cases of people with phobias that appear to stem from remembered past lives. Aquaphobia, the fear of water, seems to be one of the most common. Past life researcher Dr. Jim Tucker speculates this may be because drowning victims spend more time in the process of dying than individuals who are killed in an automobile accident or shot to death. Thus, the past life trauma from drowning is more likely to stick with them in the next incarnation. 10. 23% of people who remember a past life believe they once lived as a different gender. In many of these cases, which the University of Virginia Division of Perceptual Studies has thoroughly investigated and coded, the individual strongly associated with the gender of their remembered past life personality. Perhaps this is evidence for a universal soul that can express itself as any all genders, regardless of the body's anatomical gender. 11. 20% of people who remember a past life also remember something from the time between death and rebirth. Sometimes people report having witnessed the funeral of their own past life identity, and a few have even accurately provided details that seemed impossible for them to have known. Others have described a more ethereal experience in a sort of spirit realm while in between lifetimes. According to Dr. Tucker, one boy claimed he'd met a distant relative who died many years before while in this realm, waiting to be reborn. In another case, a child claimed he'd chosen his mother while watching her on vacation in Hawaii, more than a year before the woman even became pregnant. 12. 2% of people who remember a past life can accurately describe their previous funeral. While rare, this phenomenon is no less fascinating. Researchers found that in 25 out of 1,100 cases of people remembering a past life, the subjects shared eerily accurate details of their previous identity's funeral. They claimed to have been there, watching the ceremony unfold, even though they no longer inhabited their former body. According to the extensive research documented by the late Dr. Ian Stevenson, one girl named Ratana was upset because her family had scattered the ashes of a former identity rather than burying them. She even knew the precise spot where they had done it, under the Bo tree, inside the temple complex. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe to my channel for more interesting mystical secrets.